Boss TV, where inspiration strikes.
Hello.
A very good evening, today being on Friday the 17th of September 2021. We from Boss TV do hope that you had a fantastic day. Thank you very much for joining us from whatever part of the country that you are watching us from. Also be sure to follow us on all our social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and also engage with us on our website, that is www.bosstv.co.ke. Welcome to the Talk Circle. This is the place where we discuss about everything and anything on factors and matters that affect the youth and society. And today I'll be joined by two guests, and on our first segment I'll be joined by one guest who we are going to help each other to discuss more on our topic, that is youth and entrepreneurship. Welcome and stay tuned until the end. Before we start and before I introduce my guest for tonight, I would like first to explain the meaning of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is an art of innovation and risk-taking for profit in businesses. The meaning of innovation means coming up with creative ways in which you can find a solution to solving a problem. And also, under the youth, the Constitution of Kenya defines that a youth is anyone or a person who is at the age between 18 years to 34 years. And under the African Youth Charter, a youth is a person between 15 years to 35 years. And today on the matters concerning entrepreneurship, we are going to discuss every matter concerning from the factors on how we can begin a business, how you can run the business, and what are some of the major challenges in different fields that occur for that youth. And right now, let me introduce my guest, who is already in studio. He's going to explain and tell us his name and what he does. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
My name is Justus Andai. I am a pastor at Deliverance Teens Church, Mikindani. I'm also an entrepreneur. I venture in real estate here in Mombasa. I'm a father of 3 and a husband to 1. And above all, I am born again.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Thank you very much for making time to be with us this evening.
Welcome.
We have been having a discussion on this platform concerning matters that affects the youth.
Wow.
And also our viewers, they say that they needed something to talk about entrepreneurship.
Sure.
From the beginning, we've seen that most of the youths, after the clearing, maybe colleges and universities, they maybe take some time to think on what is, especially to start.
Yes.
What would you advise the younger person out there on which way, before even starting a business, what should be the mental state of that youth over there?
I want to start by saying the problem that we've been having with our youth is a culture that has been here for quite a long time, that after you clear college, the next thing is to look for employment. This evening, we are here to demystify that myth. And I'm here to talk to the youth of this nation that it's high time that now you start thinking about entrepreneur more than looking for employment. Because you all understand the economic crisis that we are facing at the moment, that even most of the businesses that are employing are no longer employing. In fact, they're even closing up. Now it's high time that young men and women out there, they should think about business. They should think about innovation, because we are in a time and age where business is everything. Business is like the mother of all invention now.
That's right.
And if you sit back and you are looking for employment, you might end up stagnating in life.
That's right.
And my encouragement to the youth that I always sit with together, because I'm a pastor for the teenagers, I've been sitting to, especially those that clear from 4 and maybe they are looking forward to go to college.
Yeah.
I tell them that apart from just pursuing your career, think about business. Business is good because, number one, business will give you that creative mind when you think of business. You know, there's a culture in Kenya about education that education makes us to memorize things. But business, it gives us that ability to think even further. Most of these people that you see innovating things, like even Facebook, you realize that he did not even complete university, but because of that innovation that he had that passion about doing something that will be out of this world. And that's why we have Facebook now. We have social media. So my encouragement and my advice, youth, don't think employment. Think about opportunities that can help you get to another level in this world.
That's right.
Yep.
And let's now take it at an angle or at a perspective of the parents.
Yep.
What is the major role that the parents are doing, especially when raising their kids for the future, in order to sharpen them to deal or to get themselves involved in creating job opportunities for their children?
Thank you very much. Yeah, you just made me to remember when we were growing up, our parents used to tell us, nataka kuwa daktari, I want you to be a nurse, you want to be a lawyer, an engineer and all that. It's not bad to pursue a career. But now, my advice to the parents now, kindly mold your child to think business.
That's right.
I will give a good example is about the Asians. The Asians, when their kids clear high school or college, the first thing they do, instead of looking for employment, they take their children to the business that they're doing. So they want to expand their business through the same family line. They'll not look for someone else to come and manage the business. So there's that culture that they have grown, and that's why you can see most of their businesses in Kenya, they're growing and they're actually showing good fruits as compared to our local businesses. My dad is maybe a good businessman, but he's telling me to go do engineering. He doesn't want me to pursue the business that he's actually doing well in.
That's true.
So I'd rather advise parents out there, kindly think about business. Think about how you can advise your children, not only to concentrate much on career line, but also think about how can my son or my daughter venture well in business. Business is good. I will always encourage anyone to do business, even if you are employed. It's good, parents like when they see their children pursuing well in their career.
That's right.
But even on top of that career, there must be another source of income that will also help that child to grow.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
right. You've spoken about, the childhood, how someone should be molded in order to become, a successful business person.
Sure.
What do you think, or in your own perception, what are some of the major ways or at which a youth who is planning to begin a business, what are some of the things that youth should maybe write down or plan before even trying to emerge into the business itself?
Okay, thank you. Business, number one, you must have an idea, because business is, entrepreneurship is all about an idea.
An idea, right.
So you have to think of an idea. And that idea, first of all, you have to be passionate about the idea that you're thinking about.
That's right.
You cannot think about something that you're not passionate in. So that's number one. Number two, after you've had, you already have the idea, and you're passionate about the idea, then the next thing that you should do is to start looking at the plan. You have a plan, business plan. First of all, that idea, can you implement it? Do you have the muscles, the financial muscle to make it come to reality? So you have to make a plan that is realistic. So the first thing you do a business plan. And in business plan, that's where you have the vision of the business. That's where you think about the mission of the business. You start thinking about the core values of that business and how you can grow it. You start looking at that business 20 years from where you are beginning from.
That's right.
Now, and then another thing, you think about now the budget plan of the business. If, for example, you want to do viazi karai, for example, let me just use a viazi karai because it's a common food stuff in Kenya, in Mombasa in particular. Viazi karai, you start thinking, which is the right location to start the business? Right. Like, for example, if you're thinking about viazi karai, you cannot take viazi karai to a gate pale police station. Because police station, you not get people there. Most people, in fact, evade police station gates. But if you take the same business to a gate at the primary school, most of these primary schools, during games time, during break time, they'll think about viazi karai.
That's right.
So you think about the location of the business. Number two, about the budget, now you also start thinking about how much should I have to start this business?
Right.
And I always tell people, don't think too big about starting a business. don't despise the days of humble beginning.
Yeah.
You start from where you are.
Yeah.
Even with 500 shillings, you can begin somewhere. I know of a friend who began selling mtumba, and he began by going to Kongowea, he buy a few, 2 or 3 tops, and then start selling to friends and all that. As we speak now, he's opening bells, he's selling in wholesale. And he began from only 500 shillings.
Yeah.
And now we are talking of a different story.
Yeah.
So it's not about how much you have.
Yeah.
It's about the idea and how don't be myopic.
Yeah.
Think far.
Yeah.
Think 20 years from now, where do I want to see my business?
That's
That's
right.
why what we call vision.
Yeah.
You must be visionary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
You've spoken about budget, the budget plan.
Yes.
Do you think that the corporate, societies such as banks, do you think that they give, financial assistance to those youths maybe who currently want to start a business for themselves?
Oh, yes. I'll be very sincere with you. Most youth, they face that challenge of lack of capital, and they use that one as an excuse of not doing well in business.
Yeah.
But that is a myth. There is always a way out.
Yeah.
We have grants from the government for the youth, then the youth ministry. We have different ways where you can get money. Nowadays, we have quite a number of microfinances that are boosting the youth. And I'm going back to the same point.
Yeah.
The problem with the youth is that they have the ideas, but now to implement the ideas become a problem because of that limitation of, I don't have the capital. Don't look for 100,000 shillings to begin a business.
Right.
Don't think of 1 million shillings to begin a business.
Right.
Because you realize that most of these big businessmen that are successful, they began somewhere. You hear their stories, you'll be like, oh, kumbe, I'm even better than them. But the problem with the youth is that you're looking for 1 million shillings and you go to Equity Bank, you're asking for 100,000 to begin. And yet even your cash flow does not even support 10,000 shillings.
Right.
So another thing that, talking about bank loans, one thing that the banks look at when they give loans is cash flow.
Yeah.
How is your cash flow?
Yeah.
I always encourage people, if you are banking, be putting something in your account. Let it be. Let there be something that is flowing in your account.
Right.
However small it is.
Yeah.
Hata kama you'll be putting 500 shillings, 1,000 shillings per week or per day, but at least when you go there, you'll be like, yeah, there's something that is flowing in my account.
That's right.
Therefore, your credit score will be a bit.
That's right.
You can even now start negotiating with the credit manager.
That's right.
But when you go there, maybe you even don't think about. You have an account that you opened in Equity Bank 5 years ago, and you're going there for. You'll get a problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
From whatever you've mentioned, it seems that someone or an individual should have proper planning before beginning and running the business.
Oh, yes.
Let's go to the education system by itself.
Okay.
Do you think our own education systems have been, designed in a way that they can teach, ways at which, in case you're not employed for the white-collar jobs, there are different ways at which you can work and maybe earn income out of it?
Thank you very much for that question. In fact, it reminds me of the days that I was in primary school back then, maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
There was an education system, though it's still 844, but we used to do subjects that could mold us into business even when we were still in primary school. Like those days when I was still in primary school, we could learn business education. Therefore, you will be nurtured about business when you are still in class 6, class 7, class 8.
Right.
So when you go to Form 1, you already have a business idea. You already know profit and loss.
Right.
But nowadays, the system has been corrupted in such a way that we have made our children to think about passing exam. I thank God for the CBC,
the competence-based
curriculum, the CBC. It's good, but we are yet to see the fruits of the CBC. We cannot preempt anything as per now.
Right.
But if we talk about the current education system, I will say it's a big letdown. Because I'm trying to imagine a student who has just cleared class 8 and now he has joined Form 1. And now he has not even chosen business as one of the subjects. Therefore, he will clear Form 4, having done other subjects like agriculture or home science and all that.
Right.
Now he's in the market.
Yeah.
You tell that person about profits and loss and even balancing a balance sheet. He's like, what is that? So unapata such a kind of a student, even when he goes to college, he cannot pursue a business-related course and pursue it well.
Yeah.
So it becomes a challenge, and that is why we are still optimistic that the CBC will be the game changer in the education system.
Okay.
But when you when you talk about the current education system, I'll say it is a big.
There's still work to be done.
There's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And also you mentioned earlier concerning matters on patience, right?
Patience, exactly.
Whereby you find that a youth might start a certain business, but he really wants to get the profits as fast as possible at the shortest time.
Oh, yes.
What would be your major advice maybe to that person who is thinking, you know, if I decide to start this business, I can see the ones who are doing it, it is bringing a lot of cash flow to their businesses, and they kind of have that sort of mentality. What would be your advice to the younger, you know?
My advice, truly let's now face the facts here. Most youth, they give up too early because they think whatever they're beginning, they're like, when will I ever achieve what Mr. ABCD achieved?
Right.
They're impatient.
Right.
Or rather, I would say they are over-ambitious.
Right.
And that aspect of being over-ambitious is what is failing most of our youth nowadays. Because you are beginning a business and you expect in the next 1 year, you'll be a millionaire.
Right.
You think of a business that will give you money tomorrow. Let me be very sincere with the youth.
Yep.
Start from somewhere and give yourself 5 years, at least 5 years, to see your business grow. Now the problem with why they don't grow, there's a problem that I call inconsistency.
Right.
Inconsistency is what has killed most of the businesses that youth are beginning. A youth, maybe, let's talk about the boda boda. You think about, let me buy a boda boda, you go take a loan, and then you buy a boda boda.
Yeah.
Remember, now you are servicing a loan, and at the same time you still want a profit from the same boda boda.
True.
And you've employed someone to do that boda boda because maybe you are employed somewhere.
And you have to pay that person.
You have to pay that person. So at the end of the day, you realize balancing the two might not be that easy.
That easy, yeah.
So you pay that loan for, say, 18 months. 18 months, the piki is already a bit worn out.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've just cleared the loan and you still want to get now profit. And then you feel like this thing is now, it has given me a lot of loss, and you want to sell it and venture into another business.
Right.
So you start hopping from one business to another business to another business without consistency.
Right.
I'd rather you stick to one thing that you're passionate about.
That's right.
Say, I want to do this thing. If it failed me, let me know that actually I tried my best, but I did not make it.
That's right.
But we begin something today, after 1 year, the person that you met maybe selling a sukuma wiki is now selling fish. After a few weeks, you get the same person saying, mimi sasa nimeshindwa na biashara, I'm doing something else totally different.
Right.
At the same time, that person is thinking about employment at the same time.
Right.
So you're doing business, at the same time you're still thinking about getting employed, and you're trying to mix all those things. I can assure you not make it in business.
That's right.
Yeah.
You've spoken about being consistent.
Yes.
You know, as he has said also that we are supposed, as the youth, in case you start a business, it is better to be patient and also be consistent, because, you know, nothing just comes, you know, that quick, you know, very easy. But now let's take a look on the other side of the world, especially the first, you know, the first world countries. We've seen that a lot of youths are doing some, you know, commercial businesses and everything, and they're really, you know, getting a lot of profit from it. Let's say, for example, in Kenya right now, the businesses that are, you know, are major businesses that are being run, you know, successfully are done by people who have been in a, you know, a certain structure of a business for over years.
Yes.
But we've seen that in the first world countries such as the US and like China or something, we've seen that a youth, you know, like in the IT field, what do you think that they're doing so differently from us, that maybe the youths over here in Kenya, that we are not properly focusing on?
Yeah, exactly. Our youth are not innovative, because actually innovation is key in business or in entrepreneurship. Yes, you are creative, but if you are creative and you're not utilizing the creativity, you realize that you are not going anywhere. you'll just be using it theoretically, but you're not putting it into practice.
Yeah.
Because one thing I know about Africa in general, that we are very bright, we are very brilliant. But now the problem is that we are so limited with the resources, and we are also limited with trying it out. We are not risk takers.
Right.
You know, in the first world countries, the one factor that they have that we don't have is that they are risk takers. They'll say, I'll do it, and I'll do it.
Right.
In Kenya and in Mombasa in particular, we fear taking risk. We are like, what if it fails?
Right.
What if I try this and it doesn't go anywhere?
Yeah.
Now, I will give a good example about M-Pesa. M-Pesa is a global thing nowadays.
Right.
It's all over.
Right.
And one funny thing is that it began from Kenya. It was invented by a Kenyan who's still alive up to date.
Right.
That same person, the question is, compared to the Facebook guy who invented Facebook, if you put them together, who is richer? The Facebook guy still remained on top.
Yeah, right.
But this guy, he invented something that is a channel of transferring money across the globe.
Right.
But look at him now, you'll be like, oh my God, I thought it should be the other way around.
Yeah,
this guy should be much richer because he invented an easy means of transferring money in the whole world.
Yeah.
But this other guy,
because of the innovation, creativity.
Creativity. Yeah. You know, so that is one thing that is actually limiting our Africans and Kenyans in particular. We fear taking the risk or taking the next step.
Okay.
We have the idea, but we don't know how to implement the idea. So we sit with the idea, and we are like, ningekuwa na uwezo, I would have done ABCD.
Yeah.
And you see, you sit with the youth, and they tell you the ideas they have. You realize that there's a brain here that need to be utilized.
Right.
And we are actually underutilizing the ability of the youth.
Right. So right now, in a very brief summary, you say that you are at the real estate.
Yes.
Let's say there's a youth out there who is planning maybe to begin in a solitary kind of mode in the business of the real estate market.
Sure.
What would be your advice, but in a very brief moment, to him? That's your camera there.
Okay, my advice to the youth that you are looking forward to venture into real estate. Real estate is good. It's a service industry, and you need, first of all, to have the passion to do this business.
Right.
It's not a business for anybody. It is a business that needs a lot of patience. Number one, you need to be very patient, and you have to be passionate about the business. I myself, I had to love this business. I had to give all my best to pursue real estate. Therefore, it is very paramount that as a youth, if you really want to join real estate, of which I encourage most of the youth to venture into real estate, because it's the in thing now. Everyone is looking for houses, everyone is looking for land and all that. So it is a good business, but are you passionate enough to do business? Are you passionate enough to join this venture? It's not a walk in the park. It has got its own share of challenges. But now, the question is, are you equal to the task?
Right.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming. That has been a lot that he has talked about concerning entrepreneurship and also the real estate market. Of course, definitely we shall find time also to invite him to see what he's going to advise us more concerning on the topic of the youths and entrepreneurship. Right now, we are going to take a really small commercial break, and on the second segment, we'll be joined by our next guest, whereby we'll continue to discuss on this topic of the youths and entrepreneurship. So stay tuned, and let's meet on the other side.